Please give me $10,000. It was a shock to see my 6-year-old grandson, Sean, appear suddenly after half a year. I could hardly believe my ears when I heard his words. Moreover, he looked emaciated and ragged, a stark contrast from the last time I saw him. I don't want to sleep in the park anymore, so I'm going to buy a house. That was all he said when I asked him why. A myriad of thoughts raced through my mind. I tried to bring him inside the house to talk, but he remained motionless, not taking a single step. Little did I know, an unimaginable series of events was about to unfold. I am Gina Walker, 55 years old. I work actively as a manager in a food company. Having lost my husband early, I single-handedly raised my daughter, Claire. Working from morning till night, we barely had time for conversations. That's why Claire and I kept a diary to communicate and share updates, supporting each other as mother and daughter, and at times like best friends. Claire got married 7 years ago. I was so happy that I gave her a substantial wedding gift. I thought it might be too much, but my son-in-law, Nick, was pleased, so it turned out to be the right decision. After Claire moved out, there were times I felt lonely, but it was a relief that the young couple lived just 2 stations away. Claire and I remained close, frequently visiting each other's homes. Once my grandson Sean was born, the photos sent by my daughter were my solace, and when Sean learned to walk, we took the train. "I remember how to get to your house, Grandma," Sean would say. "Wow, Sean, that's amazing. You can come over any time." His proud and adorable look brought me much joy. Nick also said they both love you so much, so please meet them anytime, allowing me to feel completely at ease. However, about a year ago, Claire's responses became heavier when I asked about weekend plans. Concerned, I inquired about the reason. She was vague and didn't give a clear answer. I didn't pursue it further, which I deeply regretted later. As my work got busier, I couldn't see Claire and Sean for a long time. One day, when I called my daughter's phone, surprisingly, Nick answered. "Mother, please don't come over anymore. Claire is troubled by you. My daughter found it tiresome to keep up with me. It's common sense to prioritize my family as the head of the household, right? Nick wanted to invite his family over on weekends and considered me a nuisance. His words hit me like a hammer. I'm sorry. I didn't realize this until now. Confused and apologetic, I could barely find the words to respond. Claire is worried that telling you the truth might shock you, so please keep quiet about me saying this." He hung up abruptly after saying that. I thought, "Cla, what happened?" Nick's words might have had some truth, but I couldn't believe that Claire, who had always been open with me, would reject me like this. So I tried contacting Claire again. "Hello, CLA. "Oh, Nick again, Mother? Sorry, but you're bothering us. Could you stop calling?" Despite sending messages on Messenger, I didn't even get a read receipt. Eventually, I lost contact with Claire and Sean, realizing it had been about half a year since I last saw them. Then, one afternoon as I was drinking coffee alone at home, the doorbell rang. I thought, "Is that Sean? What's happening?" I immediately knew it was my grandson and hurried to open the door. Upon seeing me, Sean's face twisted momentarily before turning serious. "Please give me $10,000. I was shocked that a 6-year-old child would ask for such a large sum. Moreover, seeing him up close after half a year, he was thin and ragged, which sent my thoughts racing. "I'll prepare a warm meal right away, so come inside first." I tried to lead Sean inside, but he refused to enter. "I don't want to sleep in the park anymore, so I need to buy a house. Otherwise, Mommy will have a hard time." "What? What do you mean?" It seemed that Claire and Sean had been sleeping outdoors for several days. "Mommy won't move anymore." Sean had come seeking help. "Grandma, will you take me to where Claire is?" In a panic, I took a taxi with Sean to the park near my daughter's home. There, I found Claire lying lifeless inside a makeshift cardboard shelter. CLA, please open your eyes. Despite calling her name multiple times, she didn't move. Trembling, I called an ambulance. Claire, delirious with a high fever, was immediately taken to the treatment room. Sean also received a medical examination, but fortunately he was found to be fine. Sometime later, according to the hospital, my daughter Claire was on a drip, and all they could do was observe her condition and notify me if anything happened. We wanted to stay by Claire's side the whole time, but with heavy hearts, we were eventually sent back home. "Grandma, I'm hungry." Perhaps because the tension had eased, Sean sat down at the entrance as soon as we arrived at my house. I then bathed him in a warm tub and prepared his favorite sandwich and soup. Delicious, delicious. As he devoured the food eagerly, my anxiety only grew. Suddenly, Sean stopped eating and began to cry. "What's wrong?" "Grandma, will you listen to everything?" I wrapped my arms around Sean's shoulders to comfort him. "You see, we were kicked out of our house, and I can't even go to kindergarten anymore because it costs money." Sean explained that one day, unexpectedly, Nick's mother and sister started living in their house and began to exploit Claire. Nick turned a blind eye and even treated Claire like a servant. If Claire or Sean made the slightest noise, they were scolded, and sometimes things were thrown at them. After enduring this for a while, they were eventually kicked out of the house. At first, we had a little money, so we bought snack bread to eat. Mom said she wasn't hungry and let me eat it all. But then Mom got weak. "That's terrible. Why didn't you come to my house sooner?" "Mom said something bad might happen to Grandma." So we couldn't, but when Mom collapsed, I had to come quickly. Sean had gathered the last of his coins and, relying on his memory from a previous visit, came to seek help. I thought, if only I had noticed something was wrong with my daughter earlier. I felt unbearable thinking about how hard it must have been for them under the cold sky. But no matter how much I regretted it, I couldn't turn back time, so I decided to talk to Nick. Picking up my mobile phone, however, not wanting to disturb Sean further, I held his hand and lay down with him in the futon. He quickly fell asleep, exhausted. Once Sean was asleep, I tried calling Nick, but there was no answer. No matter how many times I tried, I gave up and began to sort through the laundry in the bag of Claire's belongings I had brought from the hospital. I thought, "Oh, what's this?" I found something among her things, discovering a hidden truth. I vowed revenge against my son-in-law and his family. The next day, I immediately took action to corner them. For sure, I thought, yes, that's right. They surely don't know about this. I left Sean at home and headed out. My destination was the house where my son-in-law, Nick, lived. It was a Sunday, so I expected him to be at home. I went to my daughter's house with someone else. Yes, who is it? Visiting in the middle of the day. Ignoring Nick's sister, who acted as if it was her own house, I forcefully entered. "Hey, what's this about?" Looking around, I saw the house was a mess, with food scraps and clothes strewn about, nothing like when Claire, who loved cleanliness, was around. "Nick, who are these rude people?" Not just Nick's sister, but his mother also tried to confront me, acting as if it was their own house. "Who? I'm Claire's mother. We've met before. But who's being rude here, I wonder?" Despite my sarcasm, Nick's mother and sister looked at each other and shrugged as if they couldn't care less. Holding back my anger, I approached Nick. "Why did you kick Claire and Sean out of this house, and why are these people acting like they own it? I'm the head of the family. If I say it's fine, then it's fine." Nick didn't change his expression at all in response to my question. I divorced and had no place to live, and it was time to renew Mom's apartment lease, so we decided to live together. Nick's mother nodded vigorously in agreement with her daughter's words. "Even so, that's no reason to kick out your wife and child." "Well, they're strangers, right? It's uncomfortable with them around," even Nick's mother added. "It's their fault for not being good servants. Their selfishness made my blood boil. What kind of head of the family are you? Don't you care about your wife and child? Claire is in critical condition, unconscious. Well, that's her fault. Nick's sister and mother whispered, serves her right. You won't be laughing for long. And Nick, you've been having an affair, haven't you? There was a moment of silence, but he remained smug. An affair? Do you have proof? If you're just making this up, I'll sue you for defamation. Can you still talk big after seeing this? I showed him the photos of Nick with his affair partner. Where did you get those? Go. I took out the diary Claire and I used to exchange. After she stopped communicating with me through it, Claire continued to write in it. Initially, the diary contained joyous entries about married life and the child. However, it soon turned into Claire expressing her anguish about Nick's infidelity. Claire must have felt compelled to take this diary with her when she was kicked out of the house. However, the diary mentioned that there was no concrete evidence of the affair. So I hired a detective agency to investigate Nick. The man accompanying me muttered softly, "Infidelity is certainly not commendable," adjusting his glasses with his index finger. Moreover, he controlled Claire with lies, claiming I was embezzling company funds. He threatened to ruin me socially if she didn't comply. It appeared Claire believed these lies. Nick had supposedly taken a photo of me receiving money in a hotel lobby, claiming it was a bribe. The diary also revealed that Claire's cell phone had been taken away to prevent her from seeking help. Yet Claire thought, I want to run to the police, but I don't want to drag my mother down. She suffered alone, eventually reaching her breaking point. I've never embezzled and can prove my innocence easily. The money was probably from a cash sale, nothing illicit, and proving it would be easy, I stated firmly. The man next to me clenched his teeth in frustration. Then the man accompanying me glared at Nick and said, "This is a clear case of defamation. Who's this guy acting all important next to you?" Nick pointed at the man beside me, who then smiled and handed over his business card. It bore the name of a well-known law firm, a lawyer. I wouldn't confront you alone, given how unreasonable you are. One never knows what you might do, I said coldly, and Nick glared back, unable to retort. The lawyer then informed us that Claire had written in her diary about wanting a divorce, indicating that a resolution was inevitable. He also produced the divorce papers that Claire had already prepared and showed them to us from a clear file. Then never step into this house again, neither you nor her. Nick ranted like a defeated dog, while his sister and mother were also making a fuss, saying, "Just leave already." I took a deep breath and calmly took out a document. Nick, you seem to be mistaken. This house is in Claire's name, not yours. What are you talking about? I didn't know that. Nick began to panic, and I showed him the property deed. The house was a wedding gift I had bought for Claire. You left everything to Claire, so you didn't even realize whose name the house was in. This is truly self-inflicted, I said. Nick, his sister, and his mother all held their heads, turning pale as they read Claire's name on the deed. Where will we go if we're kicked out? Yes, she began blaming Nick, demanding he rent them a house with his savings. That's impossible. I have no savings, Nick protested. You guys figure it out. Impossible. I used all my money paying compensation to my ex-husband. Nick's sister also got divorced due to her infidelity and had spent all her money, leaving her with no savings. Let's pretend the divorce never happened, please. We'll get along with Claire. I watched the three crying pitifully. Keeping my composure, I said, I will never forgive you for what you've done. I will also demand compensation for defamation and the emotional distress you caused Claire. The lawyer nodded deeply at my words. The three collapsed to their knees upon seeing our determined demeanor. You have 3 days to leave. Oh, and you might be taken away by the police before that. Their cries followed me as I left the house. I filed a police report soon after, resulting in their questioning. During that time, I moved all their belongings to a storage unit and changed the locks to ensure they couldn't return. Eventually, Nick was fired due to this incident and abandoned by his affair partner. The three, having lost their home, each had to work from morning till night in living jobs. Moreover, through the lawyer, we demanded $5,000 for defamation and $20,000 for the emotional distress caused to Claire. We also demanded compensation from Nick's affair partner. Soon after, I received a call from the hospital that Claire had woken up and she was discharged last month. Now I live in the same house with Claire and Sean, spending our days filled with laughter.